Once upon a time, in a peaceful Igbo village called Amaka, life was simple yet beautiful. Amaka was surrounded by rolling green hills and had narrow dirt paths winding through the small mud brick huts. Each hut had a thatched roof made of dried palm leaves, giving the village a cozy look. Tall palm trees dotted the landscape, and a sparkling river called Oji ran near the edge of the village, its gentle waters giving life to the crops and the animals that the villagers relied upon. In Amaka, the women were known for their grace and beauty. Every morning, they would go to the river to fetch water, their colorful wrappers tied elegantly around their waists. Beads decorated their necks, wrists, and ankles, clinking as they walked. The young women of Amaka loved to adorn themselves with the finest things: vibrant clothes, intricate hairstyles, and jewelry that sparkled in the sunlight. On special occasions, they would gather at the village square, dancing and singing, their beauty dazzling everyone who watched. Among these young women was a girl named Ada. Ada was different from the others, not because she wasn't beautiful. She was, in fact, the most beautiful girl in Amaka. Her skin was dark and smooth, her eyes large and bright like the stars, and her smile could light up the darkest night. But unlike the other girls, Ada came from a very poor family. Her mother, Neka, was a widow who struggled to provide for Ada and her two younger brothers. Their father had died many years ago, leaving them with little but love. While other girls wore bright, expensive clothes and beads, Ada could only afford a simple wrapper that had been worn and washed so many times it had faded to a pale shade. She had no jewelry, no fine shoes, and no money to braid her hair into the fancy styles the other girls loved. Instead, Ada wore her hair short and simple, and her feet were often bare. Despite her humble appearance, Ada's heart was full of kindness, and she was always the first to help others. Whether it was sweeping the compound, fetching water for her elderly neighbors, or helping her mother cook food for the family. Everyone in the village knew Ada was special, but many of the young men couldn't see beyond her simple clothes. Time passed, and the young men in Amaka began looking for wives. Many of the girls dressed up even more, hoping to catch the eye of a rich tutor. The men looked at Ada and whispered, "She is beautiful, but she is poor. She has no fine clothes or jewelry. How can we marry her?" One by one, they rejected her. Ada's heart ached. She wondered why the young men only cared about her clothes and not about her heart. She watched as her friends were chosen by the men, while she was left behind. Still, Ada didn't complain. She continued to help her mother and care for her brothers, her heart remaining pure and full of love. One evening, as the sun set over the hills, a messenger arrived in the village with exciting news. The messenger was from a faraway village called Ozu, and he carried a special announcement. The wealthy son of Ozu's chief, a young man named Chike, was looking for a wife. Chike was known throughout the land for his good looks, his wisdom, and his riches. He owned many farms and had more cows than anyone could count. But Chike was not just rich, he was kind and fair, always helping his people and ensuring that no one in his village went hungry. The news caused a stir in Amaka. The young women quickly began preparing. They braided their hair into the most beautiful styles and wore their finest clothes, hoping to catch Chike's attention. Some of the girls went to the market to buy new beads and jewelry, making sure they looked their best. Even though Ada had nothing to wear, her mother encouraged her to go. "My daughter," Nneka said, "you have a heart of gold. It is not the clothes that will bring you happiness, but the goodness inside you. Go and see this young man." Ada hesitated. She didn't believe that someone like Chike, with all his wealth and fine clothes, would notice a poor girl like her. But in her heart, she trusted her mother's words, so she decided to go. The next morning, the village was buzzing with excitement. Chike was coming to visit, and the girls lined up in the village square, eager to impress him. They wore their brightest wrappers, their hair shining in the sunlight, and their beads clinking as they moved. Ada stood quietly at the edge of the crowd, wearing a simple faded wrapper. She didn't expect to be noticed, but she watched the festivities with a gentle smile. When Chike arrived, the villagers welcomed him with songs and dances. He was tall and strong, his skin the color of dark chocolate, and his eyes were warm and kind. The girls began to dance in front of him, showing off their beauty and grace. Chike smiled and greeted them, but he didn't seem impressed. He could see the fine clothes, but something was missing. As he walked through the crowd, his eyes suddenly landed on Ada. She was standing quietly, not trying to dance or show off, but there was something about her that caught his attention. Her simple beauty, her calm presence, and the kindness in her eyes shone brighter than all the fine clothes and jewelry around her. Chike walked up to Ada and smiled. "What is your name?" he asked. "Ada," she replied softly, surprised that he was speaking to her. Chike smiled even wider. "You are the one I have been searching for." The crowd went silent. The other girls whispered to each other in shock. Why would he choose Ada? She has no fine clothes, they murmured. But Chike was not interested in clothes or jewelry. He saw the goodness in Ada's heart, the way she cared for her family and others, and he knew she was the one he wanted as his wife. True beauty, Chike said, is not in what you wear, but in who you are inside. And Ada, your heart is more beautiful than all the gold in the world. Chike knelt down in front of Ada and asked, "Will you marry me?" Tears of joy filled Ada's eyes. She nodded and said, "Yes, I will marry you." The whole village erupted in celebration. Even the young women who had once looked down on Ada cheered for her, realizing that they had been wrong to judge her by her appearance. Chike took Ada to his village, and there they had a grand wedding. Ada was given the finest clothes and jewelry, but even then, her beauty was in her heart, and that is what made her truly special. From that day on, Ada and Chike lived happily together. Ada's family never struggled again, and her story was told far and wide as a lesson to all. True beauty is not in what you wear, but in the kindness and love you show others. Please like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to know when we drop amazing African folktale stories like the one you just watched. Thank you.